right up close to me. That's when I get the shakes all over me. Quavers in my back, I got the shakes in my knee bone. Quavers in the thigh bone. The shakes on your bone, quavers in the thigh bone.
Very nice.
Rivers in my backbone. I got the shakes, money, though. Rivers in the backbone.
I fooled you.
You fooled me, because it looks frozen. And I know we just went to...
Well, that was the idea.
That's
Why would I do such a thing? Why? Ask yourself.
a bad joke.
Bad joke.
Since we went to the cable company today. Happy Tuesday, children of the lawn.
Yes, it's going to be one of those.
No.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to get the towel ready. Then.
Go get the frickin' towel. See if I care.
I've got the towel.
Don't you do? Come here with that towel.
Sue says we won't get fooled again. Ha ha. That's right.
Exactly. Won't get fooled again about fucking what? Oh, I can't tell that story.
You've already told.
I know. So I had, I've been doing a lot of interviews for Oxzoomed, and I had 3 today, one at 9:30 this morning, and then 2 this afternoon, one at 2 o'clock and another at 2:30, which when you're doing a video call, it's never going to be a half hour, especially if you're doing it with me. You know how that is. You've been here at 20 after 8. Anyway, so I'm on the phone with Tim doing his phoner, and I won't give it away
because Tim McCullen.
No, not Yoda. I did not say Yoda.
Anyway,
Tim. Tim. Well, that's right. But
for his podcast,
I was on. I was doing this podcast this morning, and different guys use different software. A lot of people use Zoom, so it's really easy because this is what they get, right? I just go into their meeting instead of going into mine, and it's all good. But Tim this morning was using something else. He really wasn't concerned with the video. He just wanted a good broadcast stream. Now, I don't know if you know the difference. I'm sure some of you know the difference between high speed, low speed, so on and so forth. And just to give you an example, and you remember if you've been here since the golden days, you remember all the changes that we went through to try to make a consistent and solid broadcast. I mean, in the beginning, it was static, the camera was whacked, the lights were whacked.
Had to go get a new computer.
It was so we wound up buying a computer.
We were
The show has not been
calling
cheap.
Randy.
Yeah, we
Randy, what do we do now?
yeah. Yeah, and so then we upgraded everything, and as things came along to do, anyway, long story short, we realized that when we were going to get a new computer and we were really going to drop into doing this, that we should get high-speed internet. So we went from, and very simple, it's 0 to 100. We went from whatever the standard internet is that you get when you sign up for internet, and we had it boosted up to 100 meg. Okay, 100 meg, so like $100, 100 meg.
And we were flying.
And we had no problems, right? I mean,
You have not been frozen in a long time.
I haven't been frozen in a long time. See, then you make me do this.
No. Okay, I'm getting the towel.
Okay, no. So, I'm doing this online kind of a phone call, so it shouldn't need a lot of bandwidth, and I can barely hear what Tim is saying, the questions. I know what he's asking me because I can, but it's up, like it sounded like space talk, which you would think I would, understand, but
Since you're in space.
Not this particular dialect. So we did, he says,
like
he says to me during the interview, he says, I'm recording this, but I'm actually recording it on your computer. Okay. He said, so you'll have a copy of it, but stay on and watch because the software will tell you that you're uploading to the server. And then that's how I get my copy. So just don't turn the software off until the upload is finished. I had not heard that one. I've not used that software, but it's, pretty much all the same thing. So I'm going through the interview and I'm telling the stories and I make out the questions and he can edit. So if what's that now? Angus, I'm dead. No, it's Keith. Anyway, he's dropping out and we're getting close to the end of the interview and it's going really well. I mean, he's a nice guy, easy to talk to, and there's no video, so I'm not worried about anything but just giving him the answers to the questions. So we get to that, getting to wind down, and he's gone completely. But he told me that if I hear anything weird, just to keep going, right? Because it'll be okay. So now I have to go like I'm doing a audio book. I'm sitting there, I'm going, well, so Zoom came down, I'm telling this whole story, and I really don't know how long I have to tell it. And then the whole thing just stopped, right? So I freaked because if somebody takes their time out of their day to interview you and ask you questions so that they can spread the word about what you do or what you're involved in, you need to take that person pretty seriously, no matter whether it's a college station or, MTV. They all, in my opinion,
with Jam Man.
Right, rocking with Jam Man. They all have the respect that they're due because they're journalists and there's supposed to be a good relationship there. Anyway, so I'm uptight because this thing just crashes. Now I've got my next interview is until 2:00.
Oh, and that guy was in England too.
Yeah.
The first one.
Mm-hmm. I believe he was in England. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure he was because he talked that way, But who knows? He could have been
here.
He could be in Miami. So now I'm uptight because I don't know if it's uploaded right. So I start doing the speed test on my computer, and it says, basically it shows you a picture of a hot air balloon for slow, and then a struggling aircraft. Mine was snot dripping out of a nose, right? So I'm saying to myself, what are we going to do about this? Now I have the magical numbers in my phone book. I know how to make the friends, and I searched Comcast in my phone book,
From the last hurricane.
and came up with a gentleman who helped us out the last time beyond words.
A supervisor.
Yeah, I mean, a guy who can make things happen, not, thank you, please, for holding. It's, so he's on it with me, and he said, I think your modem took a hit from the hurricane, which was, whenever that was. And
over a month ago.
no, the new hurricane.
New hurricane.
Yeah,
even
part
know
2.
What date that one was?
I don't know either. November something. Right. So anyway, so we unplug the modem, go to Comcast, sit there. You've been there. You've been there.
Xfinity.
Whatever it is. And we finally get called, and we want to just trade our modem in because we have no way of testing it. We can't wait for anybody to come out. I have an interview to do.
Right, but the supervisor guy was able to tell Steve that it was the modem, not the wires.
Well, what he said exactly was that the signal to the television looked great, but the signal to the modem didn't look great. Right. Now, we have had no problem with any wires anywhere, even with everything that happened during the hurricane. So he said, I'm guessing, but I think it's the modem. So we went over there, we signed up, and we said, is there a faster speed than 100? And the guy went, oh, yes.
There's one faster.
There's one more faster than that. And it's not 200, not 300, not 400, not 700, not 900, but 1,000, give or take.
Now we had 100, and we were only getting up to 4.
We were getting 4. So last night we were broadcasting to you at 4.
Which I'm surprised we did not freeze.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, you gonna keep doing that?
No, I'm not, because Dave's coming in. And now this is going to be interesting.
Well, wait, I got to tell you something.
Tell me something.
Kitty got her CD, and she just wanted to let you know that she loves it and that there are great tracks that you picked.
Thank you.
Okay, I thought you'd want to hear that.
You know, I haven't listened to that stuff with it closely in a while. And I was playing Shakin' All Over, which is the last track on the CD. And I was playing this particular version. We used to do that song every night, and we record it every night. So I have 100 or whatever recordings of it. But this one, and you hear me talk about guys listening to each other, and that it's the unspoken communication between players that makes them, that creates the bond. And if you listen to that solo and you listen to the things that we did back and forth, we even went into the burlesque beat. And there are things where John's playing a riff and I'm playing the riff with him. And it just blew my mind to listen to it, because I'm used to hearing whatever version was on Left for Live. And this was like, every time it went off of the arrangement, which there really wasn't an arrangement, it caught my ear. And in the beginning, I'd like you to make note that it starts with a guitar solo, and I'm pretty sure that was from New York. So we're, the band, it's hometown for the band, and
B.B. King's.
Yeah, and we tell Godfrey, take a guitar solo, right? He's standing out there in the front of the stage doing, like, you've seen Guitar Hero, right? And that's,
I don't think John really liked guitar solos.
No, I don't know that he did or he didn't. It was,
did Godfrey ever do them?
No. Just, it wasn't. No, it's not that John didn't like it. It's just if there was going to be a solo, John was either going to smoke a cigarette or do something,
Right,
because
he
he's
wasn't just gonna stand there.
not going to stand there.
Unless you had Zippy, he was gonna stand there and smoke a cigarette and watch you play with Zippy.
Well,
He
okay.
loved Zippy.
But anyway, so in this particular instance, we said to Godfrey, play, hometown, take a solo. And he starts going on and on and on and on. And he's like playing, a guitar solo. John and I are looking at each other and he's playing away and his head's back and his eyes are closed. And he's, he's a fantastic guitarist. And so John and I are looking at each other like,
You're good, but we've had enough.
Yeah, this is great, but can we stop now? And so if you listen to this, and this is the only time out of the hundreds of Shaken All Overs that you might ever hear in this lifetime, this is the only one where John and I rumble up underneath the guitar, get his attention so that we can end the guitar solo. And just in time, this is going to be a trip.
Yes. Dave.
Mm-hmm.
We have to find out how we pronounce his last name.
I think it's Robles.
Well, we'll find out. I think that's what it is too.
Yeah, me too.
You gonna ask?
Yes, I will.
I would take a bullet for you if you wanted.
You would.
I would. I would.
And there you are. You look puzzled. You
We're
look
puzzled too.
concerned.
Hi, Dave.
Dave.
He doesn't-
Dave.
I don't think he
You
knows
look concerned. Dave.
Hello.
Not hearing you.
Point to your ears. Yeah.
Take your time.
Oh, he's never Zoomed before. Angus, did you do a test with him?
It says
let's write him a note.
Dave is connected. Here you go. Yes?
Nope.
No. Wait.
All right, let's write him a note.
Good. Can you got me now?
There you go. Yes. Very nice.
I've Zoomed many times, so sorry about that.
Okay. Well, who said he never Zoomed before?
I went over on his page and I thought I read that he has not Zoomed before.
Oh yeah.
That was
Steve,
that.
Steve
You know
Luongo, look at you, man.
Look at you back, bro. You remember Laurie, my wife and
Of
producer?
course.
Okay, there you go.
How you
She looks the
doing?
same, but check you out, man. This is I've been really looking forward to this for a number of reasons.
Wait, we
Yeah.
have to know what is the right pronunciation
Yes,
of
please.
your last name?
It's Robles.
That's what we
See,
thought.
that's
And
documented.
Polo was
That's
calling
documented.
Dave Robles.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Okay.
Listen, you have a name like mine. I get all kind. I get
Luongo.
people stuttering when they're trying to say, and it's it's
Yeah.
pretty simple. And it's funny because I'm doing interviews for this record, and the guys say, how do you pronounce your last name, which is respectful, and I say, well, if I'm playing music, rock and roll, then I'm Longo, but if I'm doing my fashion line, I'm Luongo.
That's right.
And which just confuses them even more.
Yeah.
And they don't, but I'm just, trying to break the ice. Man, it's been like 30 plus years, right?
Yeah. 17. Well, I met you when I was 17 years old, and I'm 54 now, man. And I think the last time I saw you was probably in a Jefferson Valley Mall.
Wow.
In the Jefferson Valley Mall.
Been 37 years.
That's what, 37 years?
Well, I just did the math.
No, can you count?
You're 57?
No, I'm 54.
Oh, it's
okay, wait,
54.
you're 54,
So-
and
so
you were
that-
17.
Mhm.
You're 7.
This could take a while.
I got a calculator.
Yeah, but do you know how to
years.
use it? That's the question.
Oh,
No matter
I know
what,
how to use
it's
the
been,
towel.
I had to think about this. I literally wrote down the year I thought I met you guys and who actually introduced us, and I'm not sure if you even remember that.
I don't. I was going to ask you all. There's not a lot that I remember from those days, pal.
Yeah.
I mean, if you remember, then you were there, so you know what I mean. it's why I love these particular conversations, because that I really get to, refuse some synapses and get some memories back. So, yeah, no, I don't remember. I really don't. I believe that it came from Carmel through Dave somehow, but I really don't remember. So please.
No, it was it was Joe Linane.
Oh,
Joe Linane. Okay. Okay.
So
Wow.
I was fresh out of high school, and he had his eyes on me to possibly, get me a little less green and a little more seasoned. So he said, "Listen, I'm going to bring you out to see this band called Rat Race Choir." And I've, heard about you guys from my older brother and sister. And this is a little after the heyday. We're going back to 1986, and he brings me to a place in New York, and you guys are playing the 3-piece thing, and I just got in front of Mark and watched him just get possessed like a demon in front of his guitar with his eyes all over the place. And I was like, what the hell is this going on? The guys did manic depression. And I was like, holy crap. This is like, whoa. I was like, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But that was the introduction right there. Yeah.
86, man. That was no
What
wonder
club
I
was
don't
it?
no
Yeah.
wonder I don't remember. You said manic depression,
yeah,
but
but what club?
do you remember the club? Was it the
I
Lock,
don't.
Stock and Barrel or something like that? Or
It could have been, yeah. It was yeah. It was Joe brought me down, and yeah, that was it. And then we started just started I started just kind of coming around, watching you guys, and then that's when I kind of formed my friendship with Dave, and kind of took a life of its own for a couple of years there.
yeah, I remember it that you came into the band through, Dave. Very rarely, not a lot of people came through Larry, you know what I mean? They might come through Larry and me, but
Larry
and-
wasn't in the
and-
band in
and-
86.
no, Mark was.
Jack
Larry.
was
Jack was right. So
Yeah.
Jack wasn't that, even more so. They
Yeah.
came, from our side of the stage or Dave's side, however. And I remember that. And that's probably because of the Connecticut and the Joe Linane and that whole connection. That happened through Dave.
Yeah.
All those meetings and all that stuff. And it's interesting where that went. And
Steve actually saved Joe Linane's life.
did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. What happened?
Gave him the Heimlich.
Okay.
That was a bit scary.
We're on.
God rest his soul, but that's like kissing a wall.
Yeah, exactly right. And he would be the first one to tell you. And it's, if you know my relationship with Joe, saving his life was like the worst thing I could have done in the world. Rather than have me save his life, he probably would have rather died. But,
Why?
I'm kidding you. Anyway, so we're out on the road and we're headed to Boston
With Entwistle.
with Entwistle, right? And Joe's the tour manager. And it's his 88. And we're on the tour bus, and John and I are being naughty for like a couple of days. And
It was the 80s.
it was the 80s, as you remember. And so not a lot of food was consumed, right? And so we get to the hotel and we check in. I don't even remember what happened to the rest of the band. Joe, John, and I go to John's room, and we're just famished because the partying has ended, and now we haven't eaten and we're dying to eat. So we get up there into John's suite, and there's a dining room in there, and we're all around it. I'm at one end of the table, Joe's at the other end, and John's on the side. They bring our food. John ordered mussels and linguine and whatever it was. Was it Joe that ordered the clams?
Yeah.
Yes, it was Joe that ordered the
Clam
clams,
chowder.
clam chowder.
Right.
And John has his mussels and that whole thing, and he's, preparing the whole thing, going crazy. I'm done. I wolfed a hamburger faster than you can believe
John,
it.
it took a long time.
John
for
didn't
him
even
to-
set his food up, and
Right.
I'm done, right? So Linane is over there at the other side of the table, and all of a sudden he starts going,
Oh no! Wow.
yeah, but there's a view. This is just so rock and roll. So I go over, right? I rush behind him. I know he's choking. I give him the Heimlich maneuver, and the clam pops right out. in the middle of John's lunch.
After he took like 10 minutes
After he
to
took
set
10
it up.
minutes trying to set it up. And he's like, so yeah, that's
He wouldn't eat it.
Boston. He wouldn't eat his lunch.
But Steve saved Joe's
So yeah,
life.
but I saved Joe's life.
Wow, that's unbelievable. And what year did Joe Linane pass? Do you have any idea?
I don't really remember. I sort of left that, that circle of information. I wasn't running in that, it wouldn't have come across my radar very easy. I really don't remember. I'm sure we could look it up.
I do know we went to see Joan Jett when he was managing her tours. What was he?
Where did you see? Where?
At some ballroom thing. You don't remember we went to Joan Jett?
Yeah, I remember because Joe was a tour manager.
Right.
Was it in Albany?
No, it was in the city.
Connecticut.
Oh, was it in the Connecticut?
Yeah.
Oh, at the Agora?
Agora Ballroom.
Yes, that's where.
The Agora Ballroom in West Hartford. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when was that?
I don't know.
Since you remember so much.
I remember Tommy Price was playing drums.
Yeah. Well,
listen. Before she shaved her head.
So then that would have been, she shaved her head and I don't know. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
so what do you remember from those days? Because you were working with us, as I recall, in some capacity.
So I think where I kind of hit it off with Dave was fishing. I did a lot of bass fishing, and so we used to go fishing all the time, and that's how we kind of got tight. And then we got the guitars out and started writing, and I had a really big love for John McLaughlin and Mahavishnu Orchestra. So we used to kind of jam on that and play and then when he was doing the Hit in Hungerford thing for a while, remember that little twosome?
Yeah, I do.
He kind of brought me into that. So we were gigging, and then I had my own cover band at that time, and I think he kind of saw the new generation going on. That we had the '80s thing figured out. We're drawing a lot of people, and Dave was like, "Hey, if the money's there, he's playing, right?" So he eventually kind of talked his way into our band and playing keyboards.
Into your band playing?
He played keyboards in our band, in our cover band called DWI. We had a Drunks with Instruments. That's a great name. So
that's a great name. I like that.
So we're playing a Briar Patch, but hey, listen, we were drawing people and we were making money, and he was all about it. So he talked his way into that, and then he talked our lead singer out and talked Karen into being the lead singer. And next thing you know, he's part of our band, and we were just became.
Karen was your lead singer?
For a little, yeah, she was our lead singer for the band for a while. Yeah, we're playing the Briar Patch and doing '80s cover stuff.
I missed that. I missed that completely. What year was that? Do you recall?
This is gonna be. This has got to be simultaneously when I was doing sound for you guys. Had to have been. And I'm gonna say we're looking at 1988, 89.
Okay, that
probably 89. Those years.
Because I was out. I did the year. I did 88. Was 87 was the Entwistle Rat Race tour. 88.
That was 88, wasn't it?
87. 87 was June was Summer NAMM and the Vic Theater, and then November into December 87 was we started it off with 2 shows at the Chance and then the live broadcast from the Bottom Line, and then we went through because it was after Thanksgiving and before Christmas, and then the following year 88 he asked me if I would join his band, he wanted to partner up because I did that whole tour. I put all that together just out of, hey, wow. And so he said, let's do that. And I joined his band in 88. So I wasn't around much.
Right. I'm sure you're right in the timeline there, but my timeline is a little different. My timeline for the Chicago show, the 1988 show, was 88. And I'll tell you why. Because I was born in 68, and something significant happened in that show is that my guitar teacher, Link Chamberlain, died. And I was 19 years old when he died. I thought I was 19. Maybe I was 18. But if it was 1980, I was 19. If it was 1987, I was 18. So regardless,
I can guarantee you beyond words that it was
87.
1987.
Okay, so then I'm writing this down because I had it.
And I
all
seem
wrong.
to remember something about Ling Chamberlain passing away.
Yeah.
That would be remote, but I remember, now that you said that, I seem to remember that from that year. But it was absolutely 87. No
So Ling Chamberlain was my guitar teacher from the age of 14 until he passed away. And he was like a second father to me. So that was a big deal. And
Wow.
I remember specifically my dad calling me at the hotel room in Chicago, at the Chicago NAMM show. And I was rooming with Dave Camella. And I remember getting news and I just broke into tears, and him and I just took a walk around Kaminsky Park. It was cold, just walking around and just I was kicking sand and just kind of going over stuff with him.
I vaguely remember this, man. I vaguely remember this. It's wow. I
see a doggy.
Yeah, I see a doggy in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Which one? I have three. My wife kept bringing him home from pounds and stuff.
Hey, man, bravo! Don't let her around us, because we'll have a parade for her. That's what we do.
We love dogs.
Well, no, it was definitely 87, and I don't. I know how easy it is to muddle dates up.
Yeah.
You said you were rooming with Dave. I thought I was rooming with Dave, but maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was in my own room. I don't even remember. All I remember was meeting Entwistle outside McCormick Place, and asking him if he wanted to jam, and him saying yeah, and me worming our way into the Vic Theater.
Can I give you my perspective when that all went down?
Sure, please.
So I was sitting in the audience at the Vic Theater, and I was sitting with Dave and Bruno Engel, because I was working for Engel Amps at the time, and we had do you remember the whole thing? It was Engel Amps, and Mark came down, and Joe Berger. It was me. We're running the booth. It was next to Hamer, and Xander was there, and Nielsen for working with Hamer. It was cool.
I remember Bruno. I remember that whole period of time.
Robin was there.
Yeah, but with Bruno Engel, not
okay.
at the.
Okay.
I mean, he might have been there, but that's not what we're talking
Bruno
about.
Engel was there. Yeah. Well, anyway, we're doing Engel Amps, right? So, So I remember being in the theater itself, and we were watching Sam Kinison just kill it. Do you remember the comedy act he put on that night?
Well, no, because I was in the dressing room on the whole time.
And so he's on, and during that performance, it was either you or Mark, or maybe it might have been Joe Berger, finds Camella and goes, dude, it's go time. You're playing with Entwistle. And he's like, what? And then he just dragged him. And I just stayed in the audience. And then, I don't know, 45 minutes later, you guys just came on with, it was like, the energy was like unbelievable. It was like he was as surprised. It was like I saw four guys. It was you, Jack, Mark, and Dave, so surprised you're playing with Entwistle. And he was just as surprised that you guys were doing the Who better than the Who. So like you're both blowing each other's minds. And that was like, holy crap. And the energy was just like, wow. And that was one of the best sets of rock and roll to this day I've ever seen. It was just,
well, wow. I have that on videotape.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Dave was so good, man. His vocals were just like, whoa. It was just killer.
You know what?
Rick
used to say about Robin Zander, my favorite singer in the world. I felt the same way about Dave. There was no even question that the guy's voice was as world class as anybody out there. I always, that was his. That was his true. He was a very creative person, but that was his biggest gift, was his voice. He could do anything with it. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was
came
great.
Out of nowhere. He wasn't always the singer. You know what I mean? It was.
And he didn't tell anybody he could sing.
Yeah, it was that just kind of happened. It was very weird, but I'll give you my side of that, and I'll give it to you a short version because I told the story a million times. I asked Entwistle, blah blah blah. And so I work it out that we're going to get picked up. I'm going to get picked up at the motel. by a limousine, and I'm going to go pick John up, right? So
Mhm.
John has no idea. I just call him up and say, listen, we're playing. I'm coming to get you. Okay. Right. So they send me, and you remember the the motel that we were in. It was like, it was like out of a bad movie. And the limousine pulls up, and it's bigger than the whole front of the motel. So I get in the limo, and I tell the guy, the Drake on Lakeshore Drive. So I'm leaving the Scum Dog Hotel and in this limo heading off to the Drake. John comes down, looks at the limo. The guy opens the door, limo, and puts the bass in the trunk. John gets in, and I said, how you doing? He says, okay, how you doing? I said, good. And he says, what are we going to play? We'll play some Who songs. And he says, I don't know any. And I said, well, we'll teach them to you.
Well, because he hadn't played with the Who
because he hadn't played with the Who in 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And so we went into the dressing room, and I think was it Mark and Jack? I was able to find Mark and Jack and tell them, look, we're playing with Entwistle. And Berger was there. He was the kind of the mastermind of the whole thing. And
Yes.
I knew where Dave was with you, because he said to me, I got Camilla. And I said, okay. So when John says, I don't know any Who songs, I said, we'll teach them to you. And then everybody comes in, and about an hour or so, I don't remember the time frame, but a while before we went on, those guys are all now in the dressing room, Jack, Dave, Mark, and we're talking down the set with John from Summertime Blues into, I think, what do we do? We went
Bargain.
a bargain. There you go.
He remembers.
And then we did whatever it was from Tommy.
Uh-huh.
Right? See Me, Feel Me, that thing. Didn't we do that? Or did we do, I'd have to look anyway.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
We closed with Won't Get Fooled Again. And so after teaching John the songs.
Well, John didn't know where he was.
Yeah, he didn't know where he was. He didn't know he was in the basement of the Vic Theater.
Yeah.
He thought, I'm at some, club somewhere. And because he couldn't hear the people. And we go up the stairs, and he hears Dweezil Zappa say, ladies and gentlemen, John Entwistle, and the place erupts.
Oh my God.
And I looked back at him and said, let's go, man. And he was like,
thought they were like in some little
he
club.
figured, And man, it was, but that was, that's what happened. And then we went out there and blew each other's minds, and the rest,
The rest.
And the tour. Yep, the tour. And I was at the Chance show too. And during the sound check, Dave gets it's almost like he kept throwing the guitar on me to try to audition or something. It's all these little auditions for John. It was just hilarious. So he had me doing guitar elephant sounds for John on the guitar, which was making him laugh or whatever. And then I was in the booth with Berger mixing, assisting him in the booth there. And let me tell you something. He was on fire that night, man. He was like on 10.
Who we talking about, Berger or Dave?
Berger, yeah, Berger was on
Berger.
10. He was partying pretty hard, and those faders were pretty hard. It was so freaking loud. It was like it was so loud, man. It was crazy. What a show, though.
Yeah, it was wild. And I remember that he was playing through, I forget what, I kept having to buy new equipment for him because we didn't have gear. He didn't bring any gear over. So I knew we were going to do we had talked about doing the additional dates. The 2 dates at the Chance were supposed to be the warm-up dates before the Sunday at the bottom line. And, I worked it out that there would be some more dates added in there. John was fine with it. And I know we bought a couple of Marshall cabinets, and I had to buy some bass bins or something. And he kept blowing stuff up, and it was like, it was nuts. But I remember buying multiple pieces of equipment out on the road and sending them back, and it was nuts, that whole thing. But he was great. I mean, he was a great sport about it. He was happy to be out there. And the thing about John was he just wanted to play, man. He didn't really care whether it was with Rat Race Choir, The Who, or whatever. And he just wanted to play. And it was weird because when we did the Rat Race tour, I think one of the things that he said to me, and there's a misquote in the book. If you've read the book about him, it quotes him as saying that that I should leave the band because they weren't good enough, and that's absolutely not what he said. He said these guys are just like the Who. You need to get away from them. And what he meant was all the drama and all the drugs and all the discord, because it was going, it was going pretty crazy. And because I thought, I operated from a weird place back then, because I thought, man, this is great. We're doing this great thing. And, John had parameters. We became friends. We talked on the phone. That's just the way it went down. So when we went out and did that tour, I had to stay with him. We didn't have a minder. We didn't have somebody that he trusted to be with him. I was the one that had been talking to him on the phone for 4 months. And, he gave me his phone number. I wouldn't have been able to get in touch with Entwistle unless he wanted that to happen. And, he said, look, you're going to have to stay with me. And are you going to be with me the whole time? I said, yeah, I'm going to be with you 100% of the time. And so he gave me his parameters and I met them. I mean, I couldn't not do that. And it caused a rift, in the band. And it was either misread or misunderstood. And, I was just trying to do good for us as a band, and I thought playing with John Entwistle and sounding like the Who, maybe there was something there. I didn't really know. And it didn't go down that way. He asked me to join his band, and we made a business partnership and moved on from there.
I think from Dave's perspective, Dave is a really loyal guy, and it's a beautiful thing. Okay. And Rat Race is his family. And I think from the way I recall it, I remember going to Polo's, the old 4.5 building, and watching Entwistle with him. And I remember David saying to me, he goes, that should be us up there, referring to him and Mark, or like Rat Race up with Entwistle, like he was, like he really wanted to be part of that. And there was a loyalty. I interpreted it that he felt there was a loyalty that may have been broken, but in essence, in my opinion, that's unreasonable, because obviously you got to do what's best for yourself. And ultimately that was,
let me put a little, and I'm glad we're having this chat. Let me put a little perspective on it for you, because I've known Dave. I don't ever remember being alive without knowing Dave. So it goes back a long way. And you can't be loyal to something that isn't working. We all had dreams together, right? Or we all had whatever. Right. And my dream was to play original music and to be a successful, lifelong musician. That was my dream. And I stayed with Rat Race and returned to Rat Race more times than I probably should have, because I could see the arc and I could see what was happening, and I could see what wasn't happening and why it wasn't happening. And, if I don't understand what it does for my career to go down with your ship, with my ship too. I mean, there's a certain point where
you're right, Steve. You're right.
That's 100%. Misguided loyalty, man. And I'm going to tell you why. Square business, and I don't care who hears it. I had formed a relationship with, and you'll know this too. There were times when they were trying to figure out what to do to work around me. The truth is, I wouldn't have been able to play with anybody if we were playing. I had a lot of opportunities back in the 70s to do all kinds of different things, but I was in Rat Race Choir. I thought we were the best band in the world, and I insisted on it being that way. But the best band in the world isn't a cover band. And my need and Mark Hitt's need was to play original material. And
Agreed.
past a certain point, that wasn't happening. And there were a couple of record deals, opportunities that were blown for all the wrong reasons. And loyalty, it's not loyalty to a thing if it hasn't been served properly for all these years. We should have done certain things at a certain time. I don't have to starve to death to prove my loyalty to you. And
Right.
I owe it to, and let me put this on it for you.
Okay.
I always thought of it this way. If I have the success first, I come back and get you guys, which, if you recall, I tried to do in the 90s when I had the club in Spring Valley. Do you remember the theater?
So I at that point had not been, so I had an issue with Dave at some point too. And so at that point I was not in his life at that point. So.
Okay. So my issue wasn't with Dave. It was with the business that we were supposed to be doing. Rat Race Choir wasn't an after school sport. It was a business, and it wasn't being run like a business. It wasn't being managed like a business. No disrespect to any of the people that were involved. The only person who was out there trying to get out of the room we were in into another one was me. And if you recall, I'm the one. I could have said, "Hey, John, let's jam with my guitar player," and I could have cut everybody else. I could have done anything I wanted.
Yep.
And if John had said to me in 1987, instead of run, if he had said to me, "These guys are great, would you like to do something?" What do you think I would have said? No, get rid of those two guys and just you and me. It's not.
No.
Why do you think I did all that? And let me ask you this. I'm not a band manager. I'm not a tour manager or a road manager. Yet that whole tour happened not because of Joe Linnane, because Entwistle empowered me to do it, and I did it, and it happened, and everybody had the same opportunity that I had. But if you were whatever,
here's a saying you say in life is you can't grow without change. So if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you have to change to grow. That's it. And that's exactly what you did. And that was time. And you everything you're saying is right on the money, in my opinion. I'm just, he just kind of sharing what I remember from what that perspective was,
It's because it's a club, and it's based on loyalty and disloyalty and banishment, or it has nothing to do with the pursuit of success anywhere other than some gaslighting and whatever else. And I don't want to snipe anybody. That's really not the thing. And I'll make my point to you this way. In 1997, now I played with them probably regularly through the beginning of the 90s, between whistle tours and that whole thing. So anytime somebody had said to me, if somebody had said, "Let's go cut a record and see if we can get a deal," that never came up. It was, "Let's go play Led Zeppelin sets 3-piece for $100 a man," which, let's not do that. We did it, but let's not do that. And so life goes on. I'm touring with John. We put the thing together. We do whatever over the years. And in 1997, I'm in England mixing a record at his house. And I get a phone call from Randy Jackson, from Zebra, the guitar player from Zebra.
Yeah.
And Randy says, "We're doing a reunion at Speaks, and we'd like Rat Race to play. Would you do it?" I said, "Of course I would do it." Right? I'm in the middle of probably the most unbelievable time in my career, but I didn't hesitate.
Sure.
So I go back, and I have the tapes of this too. And it was 97, and we blew the place out. And in my humble opinion, we blew everybody off the stage. And I don't, that's just who we were. You want to step out at high noon and draw with us, you're dead.
Yeah.
But see, that's my loyalty coming out. But anyway, So after that show was such a huge success, and now it's Rat Race, Rat Race. Oh my God, Rat Race. The following year, 98, would have been our 40th or 30th wedding anniversary. My God, see, it
Band
really was
anniversary.
like a marriage. Would have been our 30th anniversary. So, and now everybody's got Rat Race fever again. We've been away long enough that we can now come back and have this successful outing. So I said, well, all right. I said, let's do that. You know, let's do some shows but let's keep everything internal. Let's not go to our friends and say, this guy's an asshole and that. I said, let's be mature enough to come to one another and speak the truth to one another.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I had been making records and touring for a few years on a much bigger scale. I wasn't shoving that in anybody's face. I was just knowing what it's going to take to get us down the road. I still believe we were the best band in the world, and I still do to this day. But Dave said, well, why don't we release a CD on local cable? And I was like, that's not really part of my dream. You know what I mean? I think that cheap what we do. We have an opportunity to celebrate an anniversary, use whatever press we can get from the connections that I've made over the past 5 or 6 years, and get ourselves to a place. And the first thing I do is I get a phone call from a friend of mine who said, man, that didn't last long. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, I just heard, you know, that Mr. Studio Man, Mr. Producer is trying to run the whole show. And it was like, that did it for me, because I realized that I'm trying to get us to where I believed we should have been. And I'm doing everything I can possibly do, but compromise my own integrity and the integrity of the band. So what happens? Do you remember what happened?
I was out of it then.
I was replaced, and Mark, Larry, and Dave went out
by Billy Matthews.
Billy.
That I was replaced. They got
Billy was my drummer. I'm the one introduced him.
Oh, there you go.
Well,
that was the band he joined, with me and Billy. That's funny.
Well, that's fine. I heard it, and I've heard of all of the incarnations. It's not what we did. You can't have the essence of Rat Race Choir without me and Dave being in it.
And Mark,
not even Mark, Dave. Not even Mark. With Dave and I were there since '68, and we were the root of that band.
Yeah, Bob Mayo was a guitar player.
Bob Mayo was a guitar player before Mark, and Bob Catapano before him, Chris Murphy before him. I think the golden quartet was me, Mark, Dave, and Larry. Mm-hmm. But I believe that it all starts and ends with me and Dave. Because Mark and I had a band together with some of the best musicians I've ever played with. Did you ever hear the Torque CD that we did?
Yeah, that was awesome, man. Holy crap.
So that's the record I thought Rat Race Choir should have made. And if we had made it, I would have been the first one with the pom-poms and the cheers. I'll tell you this, as disappointed as I was with how it went, you know, you don't stay loyal to your home when it's burnt to the ground. And you also, when you have a chance to move into a nicer home, you don't compromise it with shortcuts and just laying on the same old thing. And the evidence of that is when we played at Speaks for that reunion in '97, look at the set list. Then look at the set list, all the set lists that were played without me in the band, and then go to 2017, which would have been 2018 would have been the 50th anniversary. And my plan was, hey, we have 7 months. Let's do the best absolute blowout show. Let's kill everybody. Rat Race back 50 years. The following year would have been 2018. Let's finish the record. Let's do a book. Let's do all the talk show circuit. The best new artist could be 50 years in the making. That's the way my mind works.
Yeah.
Of course, I was boxed out. Nobody would even talk to me. I had to talk to them through Randy Jackson.
Wow.
And so
Didn't know any of this. I had no idea, man.
Of course you didn't.
No idea.
And it's, nobody was more loyal to that band than I was.
Yeah.
I don't care what Dave says with his set lists and all his bullshit. He should have done what was right by the band, and instead of what was right in his mind. There were 3 other people there. And, I don't forget, I worked with Mark for over 40 years.
Yeah.
We wrote and played songs with the guys from AC/DC, Cliff and Brian.
Yeah.
We toured for 3 years as a backing band to Robin Zander with Larry, my bass player from down here, Larry Hobbs on bass.
Yeah.
We backed up Mark Farner, the Buck Dharma. I can't even go into all the people that we played with. Jack Bruce, we did shows with it.
Yeah.
But I never in my wildest dream would have called it Rat Race Choir.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You got some really good points there, and you have to grow, and you have to evolve, and you have to change, and I get it. It's a long time ago, and
and you also have to identify what your loyalty is.
Mm-hmm.
My loyalty was to the unbelievable magic that we created in the time that we created it, that stays in, without a record deal, without a documentary, it stays in people's memories for over 50 years.
Yeah.
It's what I'm loyal to. And when I see that being compromised, then there's nothing left for me to be loyal to. Anyway, we're going to go around in circles.
Yeah.
Laurie Richardson says, don't ever compromise your integrity.
Well, that's true. But like I said, there's,
Don Wershba says that what you were doing with John was called being an entrepreneur.
Well, it was actually more pointed than that. I was being an entrepreneur, but with the purpose of being a drummer. I mean, those were the things that I had to do to play on the level that I wanted to play on. I didn't want to play the moon dance. I didn't want to play the bungalow bar or the lock, stock, and barrel. I wanted to play Madison Square Garden. I wanted to play Woodstock and festivals and theaters and play under the circumstances with the whole accompaniment of, great crew. It was, I wanted that, and I wanted that for everybody, but it wasn't for everybody. And I'll never figure that one out. Like I said, I was staging us for the comeback of the century, and I was blocked at every turn. So.
I saw the videos. It was good. I didn't know any of the internal stuff, but
they wouldn't even rehearse with me, bro.
What? They wouldn't even give him a set list.
I called Dave initially on May 1st, and I called Larry as well. Larry and I got right back to it. Now, Larry can, but we got right back in sync, and I was giving him my dream, telling him, man, we can do this. I mean, think about it, 50 years. I can get, I had friends at NBC, I had friends at ABC. We could have done that whole talk show thing. We could have, it would have been unbelievable. And the setup was this December 1st and 2nd was the anniversary of 40 years of Zebra coming to New York to open for us.
Yeah, that's killer.
and now we're opening for them. So I said, man, guys, this is like freaking, we use this show to announce, we put a whole new set together. We write the stuff, we finish the songs, and we tell them, you know what, we'll see you next year, which was only a month away.
Yeah.
They wouldn't put my name, and when I say they, it's not they. Yeah. Dave had an influence over Larry, and Mark was just, if you remember, Mark was just in the middle without an opinion about anything. Yeah. And Dave was not going to allow a t-shirt to be made with my name on it. I was told that by the guy who's printing the t-shirts. And the funny part is, I designed that T-shirt, and they had them made for the 50th anniversary with not me.
Yeah. Well, you're doing great. You look great. I'm just ecstatic to have this conversation. There's a lot of stuff there, you know, a lot of deep stuff that was going on. A couple different worlds going on there,
Well,
you know.
yeah,
And
I mean, it's, listen, anybody can, if somebody, well, I know in my heart what I always felt and what I believed and what I was loyal to, and that was the expertly defined music that we played. No matter what we did, it was
yeah,
magic. I mean, I had to wait for people to tell me this because I was too busy doing it. I wasn't back there thinking, man, this is magic. Whoa. But, now reflecting on it, because it's done.
hmm
There, I couldn't have asked for a better blessing in my life than the years that we spent when they were productive, the halcyon years.
hmm
And I would never deny anybody's talent in that band or anything else. That, you also, when God stands in front of you and says, no, you've been trying for 35 years, no. At a certain point, you got to say, okay, I hear you.
Well, sometimes forgiveness is the way to go in this, and hopefully that'll all enter people's hearts, going forward. I
You
ran
know
into
what?
Dave about 5 years ago at Daryl's house. I was there seeing Brand X play, and then I saw him
It's
there.
Chris with Chris Clark.
Yeah, Chris Clark was playing, and I've always been a big John Goodsoft fan since I was a kid. I mean, he's a big influence of mine on guitar. So it was great just to see him. And I brought my dad with me. He was 80 years old for his 80th birthday. My dad was
Wow.
a huge Brand X fan, and we grew up on Brand X. It was cool. So it was what a treat to see them at that venue. And then saw Dave there, and big hug, and we had a great conversation. And he seems to be doing really well and involved with his church, and seen a couple of his videos, and his music's beautiful. And my memories of him are just good. I just remember being a really, really just good friend back then. And we lost touch, but, wish the best for him and all that,
Yeah, I mean, I can't listen. I am all for. You're not going to untangle a knot that's 49 years old. You're just not
Yeah.
going to do it. You have one of two choices. You can cut it loose or you can walk away. I chose to cut it loose, and everybody, when Rat Race was at its peak, everybody was thinking the same thought at the same time. Somehow that changed, and that was for me what defined Rat Race. So I didn't walk away from anything that didn't already walk away from me. But on a happy note, the bottom line is I'm very grateful for the career that I've had and still have.
Yeah, it's impressive, man.
And I'm thank you, and I'm proud of the friends that I have in this business. And if anything is testament to that, this show is. Back in 2020, when everybody starts playing acoustic guitar, I'm saying, what am I going to do? Nobody wants to hear me go in the studio and play drum tracks. And I decided, all right, let me give you a perfect example. It's been 30 plus years since you and I spoke, right?
Right. Probably.
Look at the conversation that we're having. It's the same conversation we would have if we bumped into each other backstage or at a show or whatever else.
Right.
Now, think about after all this time, if I just called you up out of nowhere and said, hey, man, it's Steve. How you doing? That might be a little weird, right? So I figured this was a great way to connect with people that I respected, people that I was friends with, people that were a part of my journey. There's nothing to forgive from me. I know that whoever is making the decisions in the world knows a lot more about the decisions they make than I do. You can define that any way you want. I just followed the path that was laid out for me with as much integrity as I could. I believed in everything that I did, and I tried as hard as I could to take my friends along. That's why Mark and I played for so long. But anyway, man, the bottom line is it's what remains. And what remains is the respect. And I respect Dave's decisions, whatever they are. I don't have to agree with them to respect them. We're adults and we know our own path and we know our own road. So I don't define yours. You don't define mine. And, we have to celebrate what was great and let go of what was less than great. Simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on that happy note.
Yeah, what have you been up to?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I never really did too much musically. I've just been kind of locked into that cover thing. I did do an original thing with Mike Nappy. Do you remember Mike Nappy?
Very well. I did a song with Mike Nappy called Angel Eyes with, I think it was Berger on guitar and at Steve Bondi's house. And Nappy was saying, I wrote the lyrics. And, I know who played bass. Do you remember Cowbowl? Paul Nowinski?
Yeah, Paul Now.
Yeah, Paul Now. It was, and Gordon was on keyboards and Gordon and I wrote the track. Yeah, I certainly remember Mike Nappy.
So we had a band in the late, probably early 90s called October, and it was an original band. And
I remember that.
Yeah. And then Joe Linnane got us on tour with Taylor Dane as her opening act for a part of that tour. Cool. And that was my one, I guess, kind of rock star feeling experience in my life, playing originals in big venues and things like that. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And that band did great. And Mike and I are still great friends. And we had a little reunion a few years ago at my dad's 80th birthday. And we got a chance to play the songs again. And it was pretty unrehearsed and a little rough around the edges, but it was just great to at least put a period at the end of the band. We never got a chance to really conclude things. So it was just wonderful.
Yeah, that's a good thing, man. I remember him as being a talented singer. I remember when we did the song, I still have it, the demo that we did at Bondi's house. He was a great, he had a lot of talent.
I remember him singing a lot of Police songs.
Yeah.
Oh, he can mimic anybody. He was great, but he put out a really good album in 2007 called Here We Go Again.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep, a really good album. I mean, it's on Spotify and things like that. I'm not on it. And then him and I did some writing right after that, trying to rekindle the magic. But I think we both came to a realization that, just the flame and the magic wasn't there. We had more of an '80s flair. We just real. Hey, this is great. We love it, but nobody else is gonna like it. So let's just shuffle it. But yeah, that's it. I'm married. Second wife. I got two beautiful children. They're 17-year-old twins, boy-girl twins. My daughter,
boy-girl twins, 17. Yep. Oh man!
Just signed. She's going to Rutgers next year. My son is an outrageous drummer. He's great, and that's neat. I took I didn't gig probably for about 14 years, Steve, and I just got a band together with a guy named Mark Swan. I'm not sure if you remember him from.
I've heard that name, Mark Swan. He was in a band called Swan. Am I correct?
I don't recall. That might have been a little bit before me, but he's a phenomenal bass player. So we're best friends. We golf all the time, and
you play the evil golf?
Dude, I'm a good golfer. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm pretty good. I know you golf, right? What's your handicap?
Yeah, I live in Florida. It's a state law.
What's your index?
Well, I was down around at 9-10, but it fell apart pretty quick on me. So I'm probably, 14, 16.
I'm going to be visiting a friend of mine in Naples and trying to get together with Polo. Okay. Does he play? Probably. Polo, I don't know if he plays. Him and I have a more of a music relationship, but I have a golf buddy in Naples, and I'll probably bring a couple more down. But if you'd like to play, I'd love to play with you down in that area. It'd be great.
You don't have to ask me twice, man.
Okay.
I'll grab my TaylorMades and be there. I don't know what I have left. I haven't played I haven't played through the pandemic. Now, I taught my dog to return chip shots because I have enough room that if I stand in the right place, I can hit 70 to 90 yards. So my short game has really improved. I have no idea what my drive would be. I haven't swung a driver, but I got to the point, and I'll tell you my golf story. I won't go long because we're already over and I still have to ask you the questions, but I do a show with Robin Zander, right? A charity show. It was me, Mark, Larry, whoever. And, I'm sorry. He does one with us. He does the Germain Arena show with us. And he says, I'm doing a charity thing in a few months. Would you like to? It's a golf and
Chichi
concert
Rodriguez.
thing. Chichi Rodriguez for the first tee. So I said, man, yeah. He said, would you play in the tournament? I said, of course I'd play in the tournament. I haven't picked up a golf club since I was 4.
Yeah.
So he says, all right, that'll be great. Now, at the time, I'm living at a country club waiting for the real estate bubble to burst on the 10th hole of a gorgeous course, Colonial Country Club.
Wow.
So Laurie and I said, you know what? We got to get some clubs. So what do we do at 10 o'clock at night? We go to Target and buy 2 sets of, I bought Top Flights, she buys Wilson's. And I mean,
like $100.
We know, we're like, man, all this for $250 with balls and all. So long story short, I go and I play in the tournament. And then have you done scrambles like that where there's 3 guys and the celebrity or whatever it is?
Yeah.
I've never played before. I went and took lessons from our pro, and he said, how good do you want to be? I said, I want to beat Tiger Woods. He said, we better get started. And I trained like an athlete for years after that to try to get my numbers down. I joined the Forest, and I actually won the tournament. The Red Sox, every time they come down here for spring training, they have one of those celebrity tournaments, and I won it twice.
Wow.
So yeah, I would. I don't have that game anymore, but I would love to go out because I finally got to the point where the score didn't matter, and I just love the game and being out there. So there you go. That would be a great way to rekindle our friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have this new band. It's called Struggle Monkey.
Struggle Monkey.
Okay.
Struggle Monkey, and it's what we call a rock band experience. So the whole idea of it is let's if we're gonna do something, let's do it big. So what we do is we go out and we just big line of Marshall amplifiers, all the lights, special effects, and we just make a big rock concert out of it. We charge a big cover charge, and we've been packing. We play once every 3 months, and we've done 5 gigs so far, and it's just been unbelievable. If you go Struggle Monkey Band, here's my plug. Not that we're trying to make it big or even get
don't even say that, bro. I always remember you as a talented guy. And strugglemonkeyband.com.
No, strugglemonkey.com, but Struggle Monkey Band on YouTube, and we have a couple of videos and stuff. But we take a lot of pride in the perfection and the details. And like you, I'm a thinker, I'm an entrepreneur, and we do all different types of ways to promote. We have funny videos, and we just have a good time doing it. So I'm having a blast doing that. And that's all I've been doing musically. That's it. Just being a businessman. You saw me, I think the last time I was at my Verizon store. I own 3 Verizon stores still. And then I have another company called Green Home Solutions where we do environmental work. I'm actually a board certified, my dog's a board certified mold inspector. Got to take the wife's home. So, I gotta, the dogs are going to start going crazy here. So I'm a board certified mold inspector, and so just been a businessman and enjoy my life that way. So
that's great. And the fact that you get to play music, along with that, there's nothing wrong with succeeding. It's actually a very, very good thing. I mean, you want to enjoy your life. You want to live a certain way. For me and Laurie, for the past 40, however many years, we wanted to remain children, and we did. I am a professional child.
Almost 41 years.
Yeah, almost 41 years. And that was my choice. That's what we chose to do together. But
okay, time for the questions.
I got to ask you the questions now. We should do this again. Let me tell you about the things that I did out of this. Did Angus tell you we stopped doing Pass the Peas because it got too crazy? But you remember the Maceo Parker album, Pass the Peas? It was Maceo played with James Brown, sax player. I started doing a thing when I first started the show with my guests. I would go in, because I have a nice studio here at my house, and I would go in and lay down a drum track and send it to a bass player who would, no holds barred, play whatever you want. And then he'd send it to a keyboard player or a guitar player, and it kind of went around the horn until it got back to me, and then I would mix it. And I was amazed at what we got out of it. We called it Pass the Peas. I have an album's worth of tracks with guys that I've never even been in the same room with. So
Wow, that's awesome.
I would certainly consider firing up my gear if you were interested in something like that, because after all this time, we could do a track together.
I am all set up for that. Yeah, anytime. You just Dropbox me some tracks and I'll send you back a snap.
Well, I'll hit you. We'll do we'll get the numbers and do that all. And then the other thing is on Fridays, and this is anytime you want, 5 minutes, the whole hour. On Fridays, we have Free for All Friday. Anybody that's ever been on the show, all the musicians and players, they can come in for 5 minutes from wherever they are. Some come in from Aruba, some come in from Antigua.
Some come in from the whole time.
Yeah, some come in for the whole time, and other guys pop in when they're getting ready to go on stage at Madison Square Garden. It's a blast.
We have Lenny from the Good
Yeah,
Rats.
Lenny from the Good Rats is a regular.
Cool.
Yeah, all players and great tech people. You would have a blast. So you're invited to that.
Thank you.
Now, my friend, for the awesome questions, I'll try to. Did Angus send you the questions? He did, right?
He sent me some questions. I glanced over them. I can't remember them, but I remember. I remember.
I think it's fine. These are just pot shot answers, and I'll let you go because I know there's probably dinner prepared somewhere. Anyway, first question is, and you did that tour. You've done the road, or you're whatever it is. It doesn't have to have been whatever. On the road, favorite restaurant to eat on the road? Oh, we're going to Mississippi. I can't wait to eat at Bobo's Ribs.
Joe Stone Crab in Miami.
Boom.
Oh, good one.
I mean, just without a doubt, that's my number one. Anytime I'm in Miami, Joe Stone Crab. I just love that place.
Good answer. Excellent answer.
I make their mustard sauce for stone crab.
Yeah, we get stone crab here and we do the whole thing. Yeah, we're in it. We used to drive down to where was it? Where did we drive to?
Everglade City.
Everglade City is where we used to go to where they would bring them right off the boat. But okay.
It's a great restaurant.
Yeah, and that's great. That's amazing.
I met Alice Cooper there, man. He's walking out of the kitchen, and I'm just sitting there eating, and he just walks by. I'm like, "Oh, Alice Cooper!" I put my hand out, and he walked by. Like,
yeah, that's a very historic place.
Yeah, that's an institution. So all right, good. We'll write that one down. Okay, next up, set list comes out. There it is. Your favorite song to play live. What is that song?
Oh,
My new band. I got to say Bohemian Rhapsody. We do that. Really fun song to do.
I'll bet with all the changes in it. That's it.
Yeah.
Those guys, I mean, they were a genius. I know a couple of guys that play in the backing band for them, Spike Edney and Jamie Moses with Queen, with Adam Lambert.
Yeah.
What a freaking band. I mean, just amazing what they did. But that's cool.
We do a Queen set. Killer Queen is the toughest song for me to play guitar and sing at the same time because there's just, it's like, you know.
Yeah.
But you know that
I can relate if you recall. I used to be back there doing a few things myself. Okay, now the set list comes out. Least favorite song to play live.
In my current band, it has to be one of the Cars songs that we do. But my all-time least favorite song is "Killing in the Name of" from Rage Against the Machine. We did that just to the point where I wanted to vomit in the 90s.
Wow, well, that's the first one of those. The song that we've gotten the most of as the least favorite is Brown Eyed Girl. Like 22 people have said Brown Eyed Girl. There's a lot of Freebirds in there. There's different things, and then there's the different songs that are one-offs for people. But okay, so and now this is an interesting question. I think of you as a superb player. I remember you being a quality musician. I remember you being a talented guy. So if you could take that talent and that gift and shred it, any other instrument other than the one you play, what would it be?
I'd have to say the banjo.
Oh, like Flatt and Scruggs, or
when I see, like, even just Steve Martin, the actor, when he just does that, just rhythmically, and to me, that's just so impressive. There's something about a good banjo player, as weird as it is, that I just said that'd be so badass to play banjo.
Believe me, that's especially like, I like, one of my favorite songs of all time is "Man of Constant Sorrow" by the Soggy Bottom Boys. And it's just got it's very percussive. Now, I like all the real bluegrass, Foggy Breakdown and that whole genre, but there's just something about, I get it. I totally get
Yeah.
that and Irish folk songs. For some reason I'm maybe that's the Tull connection. I'm not really
Yeah.
okay. And now and we have to follow up. We have to follow up because
Well, everybody's saying he's a great guest.
He is a
they
great
hope
guest.
You come in on Friday.
Yeah, so they were the children of the lawn, which are our
regular
people,
followers.
they want you to come in on a Friday, and you really should, even for just 2 minutes. It's a little weird for the first minute, but all of a sudden you fall right into it, and it's all players, and it's like a party at Steve's house, and I think you've been to one of those in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. You always had really good weed, I gotta say, Steve, back in the day.
Still do. And that, listen, you know what? If I have to be remembered for something, that's what connected me with my wife.
That's right.
When Zebra was opening for Rat Race, I'm on a break and she's got nothing to do, and hey, let's go smoke a joint because you're from Louisiana and your pot sucks. So come on. Yeah, they had like dirt Mexican weed. But yeah, we used to have yeah, so you can do a party at Steve's. There you go.
Quite a few. I think you've introduced me to a few people that party too. This conversation go on for hours. I mean, it
should. It really should.
Get into Chicago, so the back parties there. That was crazy, man.
Yes.
And Carrie Keys is saying hello to you.
Oh, Carrie Keys, you know Carrie?
Oh my God, Carrie, yes.
See, this is the melting pot, right? This is Steve's melting pot. All the musical energy converges right here. Dave, man, this is really, I've enjoyed this more than I can tell you. We have to do it again. We have to do it part two.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, but I didn't ask you the last question.
What's the last question?
Oh, this is a great question. This is fun. And the last question is, it's been so long since I've asked the question. Forgot the last. And this was my favorite question out of, I tried to, when I decided to do the show and I wanted to do the format, I took my lead from the Actor's Studio. And when he asks the bon vivant questionnaire, favorite curse word. So I put these questions together. But the last one is, it's a little fantasy, but we know that you can play banjo or guitar in this. But if you could do one show with anybody or any group of guys, living or dead, who would it be?
Oh my God, my fantasy gig would be to do Ozzy's guitar player and just play with Ozzy Osbourne and be that Zakk Wylde or be that Randy Rhoads guy up there, and just be that guy where you just, like the way Randy Rhoads is just to hold a note and just own that note, and the way Zakk Wylde holds that note, owns that note, it just resonates through that stadium, that through the big amps, that to me, just doing a Ozzy show, I would work really hard to perfect that, and I would enjoy that.
Right.
Well, you know what? That's a good thing, and I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be playing banjo in that band. So
No.
But who knows? There might be room for a solo. Ozzy's open-minded.
Yeah.
No, that would be great. And Dave, again, man, thank you. I know we got a little into the woods a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think that's what makes, because before we did this, I said to myself, am I going to go there? Or am I going to not go there? And because we're old friends for decades, and because we shared that beam of light for a little while, I thought that I owed it to myself and to you to be as forthcoming as I could be. And I don't have any anxiety about it. There's, like I said, there's nothing to forgive. It worked out very well for me. And if there was, I would certainly forgive it. I don't want to carry that luggage around with me. Nobody does.
Well, one of our children of the lawn, Laurie Richardson, who is a old Rat Race fan, says, I appreciate Steve's candor tonight. We got the story. Thank you.
Well, you got my story. You got, there's my story, the other story, and somewhere, Fair
eating
enough.
dinner tonight. You better wrap
Okay,
it up.
yeah. So we're having what is it? Gang bang shrimp?
No, bang
Oh,
bang.
bang shrimp.
Not
Sorry.
gang bang.
No, that was last night. Anyway, man, I'll let you go, Dave.
Yeah,
I'll
you guys
reach
have
out.
always been so freaking good to me, all you guys. So I really appreciate it. I was a kid, man, and you took good care of me, and I appreciate all that. So thank
Hey,
you.
man. Well, that I'm glad that you were there. We have a lot to share and to be continued. Okay.
Same link to get in on Friday.
Oh yeah,
night
same
as you
link to
guys
get in on
tonight.
Friday, but you'll hear from me before the weekend, and you'll certainly hear from Angus.
Sounds great. Hey, thanks a lot, Steve. And Lori, it's great hearing from you. Sorry I didn't see you. I remember you being very beautiful and great. We'll talk to you guys soon. All right.
Thanks,
Dave. God bless.
Take
Man.
care.
I'll talk to you soon.
You
Bye.
guys
Take care.
take care. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Well,
Yeah.
that was a blast for
Well,
me.
Sue says she couldn't agree more with what Laurie said. I appreciate Steve's candor. So there you go.
Well, yeah, there you go.
I mean,
And,
you have been holding it in for a long time.
it's not holding it. Yeah, it's
You
not
know,
that.
But you have not told.
No, I
like
haven't.
You told tonight.
Well, that's true. But
Okay.
Dave Robles would understand that. He, I
And
knew I
TV
was
John
talking.
said you were right on.
Well,
Great show,
T was in the
bro.
room. Well, listen, those guys were there. You know what?
He's
I'm
not
happy
gonna eat
where I
tonight.
am. I hope everybody in that band, past, present, or whatever, is happy where they are. And if you like where you are, it's as a result of every step you took to get there. So I'm not bitching, kids. I'm feeling pretty good about things. And
And we're going to be wilding tomorrow night.
yeah, we're wilding tomorrow night. So I guess, Dave, maybe if you're still on, watch the show. I'll play some old Rat Race. But yeah, we're wilding on Wednesday tomorrow. And I'm going to go get the gang bang shrimp now. Or bang bang.
Bang.
And if I don't see you in the
Yes.
future,
He's going to see you in the pasture.
I'll see you in the pasture.
Good night, everybody.
We're out of here. See you.